think most people think of him as a hero. Why isn't he?
I know why most people think of him as a hero, because they know absolutely nothing about huge aspects of his legacy. So Churchill was obsessed with his hatred for Indians, so much so...
Of Indians,
so much so that his right-wing Conservative colleagues in cabinet were worried about the level of his racism and how out of touch it was with the time. So the idea that he was kind of part of this moment in history where everyone in Britain was racist and it's not fair to impose modern standards on him is simply not true. Cabinet colleagues urged him to take action to prevent deaths in India, and he refused. And when he was charged with leading to these famine deaths, he said that they were breeding like rabbits.
So you would take down his statue, would you?
I didn't say I would take down his statue. I would like people to know...
Why would you want a statue to such an important
I would like people to know this side of his history so they can make up their own minds. The reality is, we continue to produce films which are more like propaganda than history. The idea of Churchill standing alone as he's depicted in The Darkest Hour, you know, Britain alone at this moment of war. Britain had an empire.
Winston Churchill was the man that saved the world from Adolf Hitler, from Nazism, from a man that wanted to exterminate every Jew in the world, right, including your grandfather. If it hadn't been for Winston Churchill rallying this country in the way that he did, then things could have turned out very, very differently, not least for your family. Why are you not prepared to look to the bigger picture of someone like Winston Churchill, who, frankly, I genuinely believe if it wasn't for him, we would have lost that war.
So this is the bigger picture, Piers. You know, my grandfather's not alive anymore, but his younger brother is. He might be watching, actually. He was kinder transport. He would say that Churchill, were it not for Churchill, he may not be alive, and that Churchill saved the world from Nazi fascism, which is true. I'm not trying to deny that or downplay that.
So why come on
history.
a programme like this and just call him a nasty racist? We should not be saluting as a hero.
What you're saying is exactly the problem. No,
yeah.
Why can't we accommodate a reality where somebody, on the one hand, won the war and beat fascism, but on the other hand, had racist, white supremacist views that also led to the deaths of millions of people? Why can't we accept that both things are true?
OK, Gisela, Winston Churchill's an awful bloke and we shouldn't be thinking anything else about him.
And if he hadn't been the Prime Minister from 1940 to 45, we would have a different view of the man. My predecessor in Birmingham was actually a guy called Neville Chamberlain. So I kind of saw the figures who, you probably in terms of his life, you probably never would have accused him of having any wrong views.
No offence, but
however,
you have to Neville Chamberlain, we'd always speak in German like you, Gisela.
Indeed, which shows me that in politics and in life, cometh the hour, cometh the man. And you had someone who had faults. I think his views on India is probably the one thing everybody would agree he got it wrong. However, he was the one who managed to bring the Americans into the war. His stubbornness, his relentless refusal to accept that we weren't defeated. That's what makes him a great life, and that's why you have to look at it in the whole. The real problem we've got these days is that we focus on the things which people have got wrong, and therefore we really are undermining the occasions when you need leaders.
So Winston Churchill's case, we focus on everything that he got right.
And if, like me, you're somebody who says Churchill won the war and we rightly respect him and remember him for that. On the other hand, he had racist views. He enjoyed killing Africans. He called them savages. He had eugenicist ideas. He was willing to see 3 million Indians die when he could have helped prevent their deaths.
Beating Adolf Hitler, winning the war, stopping him exterminating every Jew he could get his hands on, these actually, to me, are far greater achievements than the negatives that lurk in his past, which lurk in everybody's past in varying degrees.
I'll tell you why I care about this. I am a British person. I think that a fundamental British value is integrity and intellectual curiosity. And I can't understand why we, as a modern nation in 2018, are only comfortable with a propagandist version of history. Why can't we have a more interesting relationship with history? Churchill was far more fascinating than the cardboard cutout saint that we paint him.
There are whole things when he was Home Secretary, when he was doing prison reforms. There were a whole lot of good things he did, in the run-up to World War I. He made mistakes. He learned from the mistakes what happened in Gallipoli. That's the sign to me of a great figure, that you do make mistakes and then you learn from them. And that's what I think was actually very admirable about Churchill.
The guest most defending Winston Churchill as a heroic figure is a German, right?
I think Gisela's actually agreed with me.
And you, as somebody who identifies as British, thinks he wasn't a hero. Doesn't that make you feel a bit awkward?
I just don't... everything that you're saying is designed to make this a polarised,
A binary debate.
simplistic binary
It
debate.
is simplistic.
It's not. It's actually.
Winston Churchill
it's actually
was a hero, and
much
I'm not
more
going to have people like
interesting
you
than
just
that.
besmirching his
And
reputation.
and you know what? With all due respect, what you're saying is the perfect example of what's wrong in this country. And also, you say this in a kind of jovial tone, but
I'm not being jovial.
I will leave here and be trolled to heaven for just saying we should introduce some historical facts into the debate.
No, that's not fair.
No, that is exactly
you
what
are
I'm
here
saying.
to debate this motion that Oxford University, is why we've got you guys on, is this House believes Britain should be ashamed of Churchill. Now,
But
do
you
you
don't
agree with
believe
that
that.
premise
I didn't
or not?
propose that motion.
Would you agree with that motion?
I think that it's worth discussing.
Worth discussing whether this country should be ashamed of the greatest hero we have ever produced.
I
Really?
cannot tell people whether to feel shame or not. All I can tell them is the set of facts, and they can make up their own mind. The
Are you
reality
ashamed
is,
of Winston
I can
Churchill?
guarantee a lot of people watching this will not know about his aerial policing in Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
They will not know about his killings in the Sudan. They will not know
You know
about
what they
the
do
Bengal
know
famine.
about?
And if they did know, they would make
do
up their
know
own
he
mind.
saved us from Nazi Germany.
And that's one of the facts. And yes, we know that because we have
Quite a big fact,
obsessively-
isn't it, Athol?
Yes, and it's an important fact, and I know it, and I'm interested in it
Let me just
too.
clarify. Would you, if you were taking part in the Oxford Union debate, would you agree that we should be ashamed as a country of Winston Churchill? Yes or no?
I can't tell us to feel shame. I think my points are more nuanced than that. I'm not saying that there are other heroes I want to celebrate, and I'm not saying that we should feel ashamed. I'm
get it.
saying there are facts that we suppress
Right.
because we're not comfortable with them. And when we raise facts,
It's not a
Piers,
zero-sum
people
game.
attack you and say that you're unpatriotic
Actually, you know what?
and you hate this
You know
country.
what? It is a zero-sum game. Winston Churchill is a hero. The fact you won't even name one person
Because
you
she
think
won't
is
play
heroic.
the game by your
Thank
No,
you.
because
She'll
you know
just play
exactly
them
what I would
by
then
her.
be
Because
able
you're trying
to
to
do.
co-opt me into
Whoever you
into
name, I
something
can
that
say,
is
oh,
simplistic.
yeah, they may have saved the planet, but you know what? Oh, they did this.
Yeah.
You can do that with anybody.
People are complicated.